Welcome to the Child Safe Standards Training for Volunteers, run by Kaizen Synergy Law Firm. My name is Nihal Samara. I'm the General Counsel and Legal Director here, and will be conducting the Child Safe Standards Training for Volunteers. As always, we'd like to pay our respects to the elders past and present upon the lands on which we all meet. While this session is being run by webinar and recorded, we do pay our respects to the traditional owners accordingly. Before we get started, we would like to show you what supports are available. If you do have any questions about this training, then we ask you to contact your agency's leadership team. If you do have specific legal compliance questions, then you can reach out to our law firm via our phone number, which is 1300 360 360, or you can email us at support@gemba360.com, or you can go to the web chat support as well too by going to gemba360.com. There are also external services which we do refer you to if you seek additional support as well. We do acknowledge the work that the department has provided and also respect in regards to this training, which this training is actually built upon. So we do acknowledge the work by the department and respect in regards to this training material. This presentation, run by Kaizen Synergy Law Firm, will cover the overview of the child safe standards and also identify what the volunteer responsibilities are to keep children safe and your agency's child safe policies and procedures. And a summary of what we are going to cover is actually included here on this slide. So let's have a look at the definition of child safety and child abuse. Well, child safety includes matters related to protecting all children from child abuse, managing the risk of child abuse, providing support to a child at risk of child abuse, and responding to suspicions, incidents, disclosures, or allegations of child abuse as well. So what is child abuse? Well, child abuse includes any act committed against a child involving a sexual offense and/or grooming. It also includes the infliction on a child of physical violence, as well as serious emotional or psychological harm, as well as the serious neglect of a child too. So why is child safety so important for your agency and as a volunteer of what you provide and support to your agency as well too? Well, your agency is committed to the safety and well-being of all children. We want to ensure that children attending your agency are safe, happy, and respected. The Child Safe Standards recognize that all children are vulnerable. The Child Safe Standards require community service organizations to take steps to prevent child abuse and build a culture of child safety. Community service organizations cannot assume that child abuse does not and cannot happen within their agency or agency community. Now, there are 11 different child safe standards, and your agency needs to demonstrate how it meets these obligations. These are summarized here, and we will cover off the relevant standards that you as a volunteer need to be across. So what are the volunteer responsibilities to keep children safe and your agency's child safe policies and procedures? Well, there are a number of requirements that you as a volunteer need to know and be aware about. Volunteers make a valuable contribution to your agency's community and have responsibilities to keep children safe in your agency's environments. Your agency has developed policies and procedures to keep children safe and to make sure that you respond to any concerns. Volunteers must be familiar with and follow your agency's volunteers policy, child safety code of conduct, child safety and well-being policy, as well as procedures for responding to incidents, disclosures, suspicions of child abuse. Your agency's volunteer policy, which is included within this training, sets out the procedures to make sure that volunteers are suitable to work with children and can make a positive contribution to your agency community. The policy outlines suitability checks required for volunteers, which usually include working with children's clearance, Other suitability checks which may be needed based on the volunteer role, such as references, proof of identity, qualifications, and work history involving children. Your volunteer training and induction processes are also important, and that's why this training is important too. Management and supervision arrangements of volunteers and also the services that you deliver are covered within the policy guidelines and also reflected within this training. There are volunteer obligations relating to privacy, information sharing, and record keeping as well too. Now, your agency's child safety and wellbeing policy demonstrates a number of items that you need to be aware of. This includes demonstrating your commitment to providing environments where children are safe and feel safe. It tells your community about your strategies and governance arrangements to keep children safe, helps your agency create a shared commitment to keeping children safe, supports everyone within your agency community to know their responsibilities for keeping children safe, and is also publicly available as required by the department as well too. Your child safety wellbeing policy ensures that all staff and volunteers will participate in child safety and wellbeing induction and training provided by your agency, and that includes this training. Follow agency's child safety and wellbeing policies and procedures, act in accordance with your child safety code of conduct, identify and raise concerns about child safety issues, ensure children's views are taken seriously and their voices are heard about decisions that affect their lives, and implement inclusive practices that respond to the diverse needs of children. Your commitment to child safety and well-being means that you are committed to providing safe environment where children are safe and feel safe. It confirms that you have no tolerance for child abuse and proactively take steps to identify and manage risks of harm to children in your agency's environments, and ensure that every person involved in your agency has an important role in promoting child safety and well-being and promptly raises any issues or concerns about child safety. Now, cultural safety and safe environments and the ability to respond to diverse needs is also important. This means that as a volunteer, you can support every child to have a positive experience and a safe environment. This includes supporting Aboriginal cultural safety and understanding that diverse circumstances of different children. This ensures promoting cultural safety in your agency community by recognizing the link between Aboriginal culture, identity, and safety. It is important to know that you pay particular respects to children with a disability, children from cultural and linguistically diverse backgrounds, children who are unable to live at home, international children, lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, and gender diverse, as well as intersex and queer LGBTQIQ plus children and Aboriginal children as well. Now, your agency does have a child safety code of conduct which provides adults with a clear guide on the behavior that is expected from you in our agency's environments and lists acceptable and unacceptable behavior, identifies professional boundaries and ethical behavior, and applies to all agencies' activities, including CAMS, digital technologies, and social media. And it is also publicly available. Now, who has to follow it? Well, staff, volunteers, contractors, and any other members of your agency community involved in child connected work, including agency board members, has to follow this as well too. Now, there are acceptable and unacceptable behaviors, and these are listed here. Acceptable behaviors include upholding your commitment to child safety and following the agency's child safety and wellbeing policy. And it also means that it covers unacceptable behavior. And this includes ignoring or disregarding concerns, suspicions, or disclosures of child abuse, as well as developing a relationship with a child that could be seen as favoritism or amount to grooming behavior. So it's important that you look carefully at these acceptable behaviors and also unacceptable behaviors and ensure that you follow and understand what this means for you as a volunteer. It's also important that you respond to incidents, disclosures, and suspicions of child abuse. So volunteers must not ignore or disregard any concerns, suspicions, or disclosures of child abuse. You must report any concerns to if you're working with schools, teachers, or agency leadership team as quickly as possible. Everyone has a role to ensure children are safe. If something doesn't feel right, then you must speak up. In terms of responding to child abuse, well, there are 4 critical actions for community service organisations, and these are listed here. It means that you must respond to the emergency, report to authorities, contact parents or carers, and provide support. Usually, this will mean that you need to contact your agency leadership contact or executive manager in terms of what needs to happen. If you are in the role of executive leadership as well too, then you need to also report this directly to the CEO to manage the reporting requirements that you need to follow. Signs of child abuse to look out for. Now, we have divided these slides a little bit into listed outcomes as well. So children and young people can be harmed by other children as well as children or adults. Child abuse can include physical abuse, sexual abuse, grooming, serious emotional or psychological harm, neglect, or family violence. It's important to be aware that it doesn't have to involve physical contact or force. So child abuse can include talking to a child in a sexually explicit way, grooming a child for future sexual activity, experiencing family violence, or failing to provide a child with adequate standard of nutrition, supervision, or medical care. There are ways to identify and manage child safety risks. Always follow your agency's child safety code of conduct. Be aware of the behavioral and physical indicators of child abuse. Look out for any indicators of child abuse in young children and young people. Immediately raise concerns about any suspicions of child abuse with a teacher if you're working within a school environment or agency leadership team, and alert a teacher or agency leadership to any other potential risks you become aware of within your agency. Now, there is the obligations to share information for volunteers, and any children information you become aware of because you're a volunteer must be managed sensitively and in accordance with your agency's privacy policy and volunteers policy. And you do have access to these. So you can share children information with relevant agency staff in order to support the children's either education, well-being, and health, and reduce the risk of harm to children, other children, staff, or visitors. Volunteers must report any child safety concerns that they become aware about to agency leadership teams, or if you are working within a school environment, within a school as well too. There are some circumstances where volunteers may also be obliged to disclose information to authorities outside the agency, such as Victoria Police, and we do direct you to your agency leadership team prior to this as well. In terms of record keeping, well, volunteers are bound by the agency's record keeping agency policy, and it's also important that you be aware of your volunteer policy as well too. Now, there are a number of things to remember. Child safety at your agency is everyone's responsibility, and this does include volunteers who have a responsibility to always follow the agency's child safety and wellbeing policies and procedures, act in accordance with your agency's child safety conduct, take children's views seriously, especially when they raise concerns or worries about safety or safety of a friend, and raise concerns about a child's safety or inappropriate behavior in the agency's community with a teacher or agency leadership immediately. And also recognize and respect the diversity of children, young people, and families at your agency. In terms of your child safety policies and procedures, it is there in terms of child safety and wellbeing policy, child safety code of conduct, child safety risk register, and responding and reporting child risks and obligations under your policy and procedures. And with that, these are built upon department guidelines and policy directives, as well as the legal compliance obligations covering a range of topics that you can see here. If you do have any questions, then we do direct you back to your agency's leadership team. You can also contact our law firm who have run this webinar for your agency as well too, directly on our 1300 360 360 number. our support at gemba360.com email address, or you can chat to us live at gemba360.com online. If you do contact us, then we will reach back out to your agency leadership contact that has asked us to deliver this training, and also the CEO as well too. Thank you for attending this session. We look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.